California State Prison Sacramento, often referred to as New Folsom, would first open its doors in 1986 and today houses some 2,200 medium, maximum, and high security custody inmates. Just a few days ago, on November 1st, 2025, at approximately 7 p.m., one of the prison's most violent inmates, a man by the name of Jason Brannigan, would allegedly attack two officers with an improvised weapon as he was being escorted from his cell for staff to conduct a routine cell search. And although staff was able to use physical force and chemical agents to stop the attack, and the two officers were able to survive, an inmate just about a year ago who crossed paths with Jason Brannigan was not so lucky. On December 17th, 2024, Jason Brannigan was accused of repeatedly stabbing 35-year-old Lamar Scott with an improvised weapon. He was also accused of attacking 71-year-old Santana West. Officers who witnessed the attack said it happened just after 6 p.m., and although they were immediately able to stop the incident and life-saving measures were given to Lamar Scott, he would be pronounced deceased at 6:36 p.m., and Santana West was barely able to escape with his life.
A man with ties to Kern County is under investigation for allegedly killing another man in prison. It happened just after 6 last night at California State Prison in Sacramento. CDCR says prison staff saw Jason Brannigan stab 35-year-old Lamar Scott several times with an improvised weapon. Paramedics attempted life-saving measures on Scott, but he was declared dead just after 6:30. Brannigan is also accused of swinging his weapon at another inmate who is expected to be okay. Brannigans is serving a near 18-year sentence for a 2011 conviction related to domestic violence. Kern County sentenced him to an additional 4 years in February 2022 for possession or manufacture of a deadly weapon while in prison.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Greenlit Gang TV. Hope y'all having a blessed day. Let's just jump right into it, man. We hit 25,000 subscribers. That's a big, big deal. Thank you guys, each and every one of you. I don't even care. Like, subscribe, comment. You already know what to do. But again, thank you guys so much. I was at work today, checked my phone, and it ticked over. Me and my girl were pretty stoked about it. For me, that's a very, very big number. I know there's a lot bigger YouTube channels out there, but for me and where I came from and where I started and, kind of how I do things, I don't use AI. It's just me, my phone, my laptop. I'm just recording off my little iPhone here. And anyway, Thank you. I don't know what else to say, man. Thank you for all the continued support. Okay, so a little bit of a shorter video today. We're going to be talking about an attack on two corrections officers just a few days ago at California State Prison Sacramento, often referred to as New Folsom. But the reason I really was a little bit more excited to do this video, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I wanted to bring you guys this story, but I got a little more hyped because the guy who's alleged to attack these COs, Jason Brannigan, committed a prison murder at California State Prison Sacramento, the same prison this just happened at just about a year ago. In December of 2024, he killed a man, in cold blood, broad daylight, no question, he did it. And then here he is just 11 months later trying to kill two corrections officers. First, let's start with the article about the attack. And then we're going to get into the background on Mr. Jason Brannigan. Talk about a violent inmate, guys. California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation officials are investigating the attack of two peace officers at California State Prison Sacramento as an attempted homicide. On November 1st, 2025, at approximately 7 p.m., incarcerated person Jason Brannigan allegedly attacked two officers with an improvised weapon as he was being escorted from his cell for staff to conduct a cell search. Staff used physical force and chemical agents to quickly quell the attack, and an improvised weapon was found at the scene. The two officers were immediately taken to the treatment area where they were given, basically their injuries were treated and they were able to move on to their way. Brannigan was placed in restricted housing pending investigation into the case. And Brannigan was most recently received from Sacramento County on March 7th, 2011. So he's been down for a while. But get this, he was sentenced at the time 17 years, 8 months for corporal injury to a spouse. So domestic violence, extreme domestic violence, within 7 years of a prior specified conviction. Criminal theft to cause great bodily injury, death, and vandalism as a second striker, with an enhancement for a prior felony conviction of a serious offense. While incarcerated, Brannigan was sentenced by Kern County on February 28th, 2022 to 4 years for possession and manufacture of a deadly weapon as a second striker, also an in-prison offense. When I read that, I see a very violent individual. I see somebody who continues to commit the same kinds of crimes. Obviously, he's committing extreme acts of domestic violence. He's getting caught with weapons. He's hurting people outside of prison and inside of prison. So this just happened November 1st, just a few days ago. Well, I go into his background here, and on December 17th, 2024, not even a year ago, this is this article. A man imprisoned at California State Prison Sacramento died after being stabbed multiple times by another incarcerated man on Monday, according to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. 47-year-old Jason Brannigan is accused of repeatedly stabbing Lamar Scott, 35, with an improvised weapon. He also attacked another man incarcerated at the Folsom prison, Santana West, 71 years old. Officers witnessed the attack just after 6 p.m. and immediately quelled the incident. The officers began life-saving measures along with emergency medical personnel who arrived at the scene. Scott was pronounced 36 minutes after the attack deceased at 6:36 p.m. West was treated for his injuries and details on his condition were not released. West had been serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for not good charges at all as a third striker. Brannigans had been sent to prison in that May 2011, 17 years, 8 months. And Lamar Scott was from Contra Costa County, came in 2018. He was given 16 years also for very violent domestic violence related charges for enhancements with using a weapon. So all the people involved in these stories, man, they're all committing domestic violence, acts against their spouses. Santana, the 71-year-old, he was committing multiple SAs. But regardless, Jason Brannigan, very violent individual. And what stands out to me is he takes the guy's life in California State Prison Sacramento. And 11 months later, guards are going in to do a cell search, and he starts trying to kill the guards. And this is what we've been talking about, guys, with this California model and all this shit that continues to go on is you are putting staff and inmates at an extreme amount of risk. And this is the stories I see a lot of. And it's only in California I see these stories where these guys, they kill months, years apart. It's like, it kills Lamar Scott. 11 months later, he's trying to kill 2 COs. It's just kind of a wash, rinse and repeat sort of a thing that I've continued to see all throughout 2025 as I've covered these stories. Last thing I'm going to talk about, I came across this article on Jason Brannigan all the way back in September of 2010. And basically, he was talking about the conditions of prison. He's African-American, and I'm not saying that prison abuse and assaults against minorities don't happen. They absolutely do. In prison and outside of prison, by the police and by corrections officers, absolutely goes on. I just think it's kind of interesting who and what and how, what he became. This article, Jason Brannigan's eyes widened as he relived the day. He says prison guards pepper sprayed his face at point-blank range, then pulled him through the cell block naked, his hands and feet shackled. Quote, I can't breathe, Brannigan recalled, gasping in pain and humiliation during the March 2007 incident. Quote, they're walking me on the chain and it just felt like slaves again, said the African-American inmate interviewed at the Sacramento County Jail. Quote, like I just stepped off the auction block. Brannigan, who was only 33 at the time, said the incident occurred in the Behavior Modification Unit at High Desert State Prison in Susanville, California, where he was serving time for armed assault. I mean, man, I'm not saying that didn't happen because it probably did happen. Who knows? My one opinion on that is Jason Brannigan is a very violent individual. Extreme domestic violence. He's killing inmates. He seems like a very manipulative person. And again, I'm not saying it didn't happen. But at the same time, I'm not going to believe what Jason Brannigan's telling me as well. I'm not going to take him at his word. I'm going to have to hear from somebody else before I 1,000% believe it. I know that kind of stuff happens, but just after reading about who he is as an individual, just not a good person. Don't really know how else to put it. But anyway, I know a little bit of a shorter one for you guys today. Much love. 25,000 subscribers, guys. Big deal. Peace.